everyone. It is Friday. I'm so happy to be here to talk to you guys. So, in my classroom on Fridays, we call it Freedom Friday. And on a Freedom Friday, we don't have nap time. We go outside instead. We get extra playtime. I'm a lot more, even though there's a lot of freedom in my classroom, um, on a Freedom Friday, things just are a little bit different. I'm more inclined to let the kids kind of govern what goes on. So, for example, I think it was last week in the morning time when the kids come in, they do table toys and um, they were playing and they were really engaged in play, but it was time to clean up. So I said, guys, it's time to clean up. And they were like, oh, we want to play some more. So I said, wait a minute, it's Freedom Friday. You guys want a little bit more playtime this morning? They say yes. So I said, okay, go ahead. Well, go ahead and play. And so they were so excited. A couple of them ran over, gave me a hug, and they were just so joyful and elated um, just for that little compromise. Sure, you guys can have a little bit more playtime, even though usually it's time for us to clean up, use the bathroom, get ready for morning meeting, and go on with the rest of our day. So on a Freedom Friday, things are a little bit different in my classroom, and I love it, and the kids love it. So on Fridays, God's willing, is something that my goal is to provide a little bit of a different, just a little bit of different information on a Freedom Friday, because Freedom Friday on here too, okay? So today I want to talk about three perspectives of the greatest teacher on earth, who I believe is Jesus Christ, is the greatest teacher. And I wanted to share his perspective on children because his perspective on children actually changed my perspective of how I view children, and especially little children. And there is a verse in, I think it was like Mark chapter 10 in the Bible. You can read it on your own, but from verse 13 to 16, where I'm going to paraphrase. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically what happened was uh, the parents were bringing their children to Jesus so that he could put his hand on them and bless them. But his disciples were shooing the kids away, like, yo, get up out of here. Don't, no, Jesus, no, back up. His disciples were blocking. And then Jesus got indignant. And he was like, let the kids come to me. Don't stop them. Don't hinder them. Allow the kids to come to me, you know. And so they allowed the kids to come to him, and he blessed them, and they went on their way. And then there was another instance in Matthew chapter 18, verse 1 to 6, where his disciples, the same disciples, okay, they were having an argument about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom. Okay, they over there arguing about who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom of God. Anyway, so then they said, well, all right, well, let's ask Jesus. So they said, okay. They said, Jesus, who's going to be the greatest in the kingdom? And what did Jesus do? He went and he got a little child. He went and got a little child, and he said to them, I'm telling you the truth, unless you change and become like little children, you will never even enter the kingdom of heaven. So I said, okay. And then Jesus went on to say, therefore, whoever humbles themselves like a little child, right, will be the greatest in the kingdom. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So I was like, wow, like, the regard that this great teacher, this great man, the Son of God has for little children is just amazing. So I needed to look within myself and say, okay, girl, how you looking at these kids? Because sometimes if you're a new pre-K teacher, or even if you've been teaching for many, many years, we all have had those days where we just ready to throw everybody in the garbage. Everybody come the dumpster, okay? But these stories really helped me to really put things in perspective, and there are three things. So I like to break things down into three because you can easily remember it, and I think it's easier to remember and it's a sticking point. So the three perspectives that Jesus had for children is number one, he wanted them to come. He said, let them come to me. He wanted those little kids to come. He wanted them around him. He liked having children around him, right? And so when you're working in the early childhood field and when you're a teacher, you it would be helpful if you like having little children around you, right? There's something about their energy, their innocence, their perspective on the world that is just so amazing. Like I really do enjoy being around little kids. If you find me anywhere, I'll be around some little kids, okay, laughing and playing and having a good time, okay? So that's number one. He wanted the kids to be around him. He wanted the children to be around him. And quite frankly, he got straight up indignant. He was displeased. He was not happy with you if you tried to keep them away from him, you know? Indignant is feeling or showing anger or annoyance about something that you think is unfair. And he was indignant when the disciples tried to stop him from bringing these kids to him. And he said, no, no, don't do that. Bring the kids here, okay? Let them come to me. Okay, so that's number one. That shifted my perspective. Like, wow, he really liked having these children around him. Number two is in I think it was in Matthew somewhere. I think you might find it in Matthew 18. But there's a part of that story where he says, like further down, where he says, look, let me tell you something. If you welcome a little child, you welcome in me. Okay, if you welcome one of these little kids in my name, you're welcoming me. So I said, well, wait a minute now. If we welcome and we embrace these little children, we're literally embracing Jesus himself. I said, oh, that's something to think about. I didn't know that was there like that. Okay. And when you think about little children like that, you want to say, oh, well, if Jesus said, I should handle these, I'm handling him. When I'm welcoming these kids, I'm welcoming him, then maybe I need to change my perspective. Maybe I need to look at them in a different way, and not be so cynical or so upset all the time or so grumpy and grouchy with them. Perspective shift needs to happen. And then number three, this one, this one for me was very unexpected and kind of took the cake. Because further on down it said, if anyone causes harm to little children, if anyone causes them to fall into sin or to do things that are not in keeping with what God has for them, it's better for that person to have a millstone around his neck and to go drown himself in the sea, in the depths of the sea. So it's better for you, it would be better for you to go jump in the ocean with a millstone around, with a big boulder around your neck, than for you to mess with one of God's little kids. So we have to be very careful about how we are handling God's children. I remember I told my mom a couple years ago, when we were having a conversation about my kids when they were younger. I said, Mom, those are not my kids. Those are not my kids. Those are God's kids. And I be having to ask him for grace every day to help me with his kids. And I realize that now, even in my own classroom, there are times where, like literally every day, I'm just like, okay, help me, give me wisdom to really work with your children in a way that they need me to work with them, and to show up for them in a way that they need me to show up for them. Which is why it's so important, like some of the inner work that I was talking about earlier this week, like in what you believe and what you think and what your perspectives are concerning young children and concerning your class. Is very important to consider all of these things. And so, I want to leave that with you today, like three perspectives to have you should like being around children. Okay, if you are going to be an early childhood teacher, you're a new teacher, or you've been in the profession for a long time, it's important for you to be able to like them, okay, and to want them around you, to enjoy their company. Number two, when you welcome these children, these are not your children; they belong to God. Okay, and when you welcome them, you're welcoming Him into your classroom. Okay, just remember that. So even though sometimes they don't They don't act like it all the time. But that's okay. That's a work through. God is going to help us with that. And then number three, try your best to not cause them to fall into any sin. Like, look out for them. Like, be their advocate. Be their that person that is, really looking out for their well-being and wanting to make sure that all is well with them, checking in with them and their families when you don't see them for a long time. If you have an inkling about something, just to look into it. Like, it never hurts. And so as a teacher, these are some of the things that's very important for us as far as our perspective. For me anyway, these are some of the things that help me with my perspective of kids, because I'm gonna be honest with you, when I was a teenager, I never imagined that I would be working with young children. I actually did not like children. I told my I told my mom, not my aunts, my mom's aunt, that I don't like kids. I didn't even want to have kids. And I was like, I don't like them kids. Them kids, they nasty, they this and they that. And I had all kind of different stuff as a teenager. And look, here I am all these many years later, working with them, loving them, and really enjoying the company of young children. So I hope these were eye-opening perspectives. Feel free to go check it out on your own. And I hope you enjoyed our Freedom Friday chat. And I will talk to you guys next time. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Bye.